Welcome to the Four Visions Market Podcast, a space built on the principles of integrity and reciprocity. Together, we will engage in thought-provoking conversations about plant medicines, why these plants are coming out of the rainforests, jungles, and mountains after thousands of years, and what it means to be in right relationship with the ancestral wisdom cultures and guardians of these traditions. I'm your host, Mariah Gannessa, founder and director of Four Visions Market. This podcast is the natural evolution in our commitment to providing you, our tribe, with incredible resources to support you on your healing journey through plant medicines. Welcome home.
Hello, Four Visions family, and welcome back to Season 2 of the Four Visions podcast. I'm Mariah Gannessa, your host of the podcast and the founder and steward of Four Visions. Today, I want to share a little bit about what's coming up in 2024 with the podcast and as a brand, as well as share a little bit about what fuels our growth and really get into some of this background and the story behind how the Four Visions got started and why we keep showing up and doing the work that we do. Here we are gearing up for Round 2. Last year was a beautiful inaugural season and year of 35 episodes, and it was such a beautiful opportunity to connect with you, reading the reviews and how these episodes landed for our Four Visions tribe and the listeners of the podcast was truly one of my highlights of last year. It was so beautiful hearing about the ways in which these conversations were supporting your own personal study with plant medicine and a deeper inquiry on what it means to be in right relationship with the plants. This is actually in part why we started the podcast, because ultimately as we've grown, we've really gotten to understand the importance of education and providing our community with the tools and the resources to work with these plants in right relationship, as well as with a greater awareness of the mutual benefit cultural sharing that is taking place as these plants and tools come out of the rainforest and to your front doorstep and everything that is included with that process. So first, just a little backstory. I thought it would be nice in this intro episode to share a little bit of how we got here. And I haven't really shared much about this origin story of Four Visions, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about what got me started on this path of sourcing and working with the tribes and what eventually led to the establishment of our platform and our brand. First and foremost, you might be surprised to learn that I never started this project with the intention of starting a company. It was something that really just evolved very, very organically. I had started going down to the Amazon jungle about 11 years ago. I was 16 when I first drank medicine for the first time, and it really changed the whole trajectory of my life. I graduated high school and was on my way to college, and I was going down a very traditional path, a full ride scholarship all lined up for me at UCLA, and I was planning on becoming a Western medical doctor because I wanted to help people. I always had that drive and desire to be of service. And it wasn't until I found plant medicines that I started to open my eyes to all of the majesty that lies in the power of healing that nature can provide. And so it really opened my perspective and rocked my world in a lot of ways and led me down my own personal healing journey, which is how I found myself in Colombia 11 years ago, working with the ancestral plants of Yahe with the Ingano tribe, and finding my teacher, who's still my teacher today, Taita Wadito, and studying the Yahe with his family. It was such a beautiful healing experience for me that lasted many years of really uncovering the depths of my own consciousness and my own conditioning and really beginning to open my eyes to what it means to really live a good life, a life of beauty, unpacking all of the beliefs that had been given to me throughout my childhood and actually having a really beautiful opportunity to become an adult in a really beautiful, loving community in Colombia that really opened their arms to me and welcomed me into their family as part of their family. It was an incredibly humbling experience living down there and spending time with them. And so it's from that origin story that the idea came for me to potentially start sharing some of the beautiful art and medicines that specifically my teacher's family was making. And it started by just buying some beadwork, jewelry from them and bringing it back with me on one of my trips back home, thinking that I could gift them to my friends and my family. And so it was in 2015, around 2015, when I first brought back the first set of ceremonial tools. And there was such a beautiful response and such a high interest that my eyes opened to the possibility of actually being able to make a bigger impact through the sharing of these tools. And so that first purchase of goods was really just a regifting without any intention of selling or creating a platform of any kind. But because of that immediate response of my community back home, I really was inspired by the possibility of creating a relationship that would provide economic sovereignty and stability to a community that really was transformational in my own healing journey and my own spiritual path. As the years went on, over time, I started developing other beautiful relationships with other Indigenous communities throughout South America. And then the idea for this initiative of ofFour Visions really was sparked around 2018. But still, it wasn't from this intention of, going out and creating a huge e-commerce platform. I continuously was being guided just by spirit and this path of service, this path of wanting to give back and support, as well as my own healing journey, being so touched by the ancestral tools of the Indigenous cultures of South America, wanting to be able to share that and turn more people on to these beautiful medicines and this alternative path of healing and consciousness. So it wasn't until the pandemic, actually, when things really shifted for us in our business model. Up until that point, it was very organic, very led by this prayer that I was stewarding and also being counseled by the Indigenous wisdom keepers that I was in partnership with and that we were cultivating relationship with, always being open to new products that they wanted us to share. And over time, cultivating a community here in the West of beautiful pathwalkers who were very excited to learn more about these ancestral tools and remedies. And we're always very thirsty for beautiful, ethically sourced healing goods. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, you may be familiar with many of these Indigenous communities and the way that they open their retreat centers open to the world for Westerners to come for various retreats throughout the year. This format is how many of the Indigenous tribes throughout South America sustain their villages. They will have, retreats a couple times, 4 or 5 times a year, or immersions, festivals. This has been kind of the structure that has allowed them to receive economic funds to then be able to further their infrastructure development, support the ongoing needs of their community, provide stability to all the tribes people. But when the pandemic hit, the borders closed, and all of a sudden, all of our Indigenous partners were no longer able to host their retreats. And so they were looking at 2020 and the upcoming year with a really big unknown, as many of us experienced. And so that's when our partners really came to us and shared that they really desired for this relationship and this sharing of products to open up more. It was under the blessing and the guidance of these wisdom keepers that the idea to really formalize this as a company, as a brand, as a platform really got started. And over the last 3 years, we've been building and scaling this company with the vision of increasing our impact, of increasing our reach, of being able to support and uplift these Indigenous communities and the beautiful work that they're doing to preserve and recover the ancestral wisdom, traditions, and languages of their people. It's been a tremendous honor. And looking back, I never would have imagined that I would be sitting here today sharing this with all of you, because the whole journey was step by step, listening and acting, step by step, hearing the next phase and really answering that call. And that's really what this path of service is about. Not going in with any expectations or ulterior motives, but really just opening up that inner listening and attuning to be able to utilize our gifts and our service in a way that uplifts and heals. Of course, I never even could have ever fathomed the impact and the reach that we would have for you, our Four Visions community, the people who have been touched by these tools and these medicines and the educational resources that our platform has been able to provide. And that too has been an incredible blessing and motivating factor to keep growing and keep developing this project, because to get to play a role in the healing journey of so many beautiful, conscious people who are earnestly yearning to grow and evolve spiritually and to open their paths and their lives and their lifestyles to these sacred tools and ways of thinking, ways of living that have been stewarded and preserved and safeguarded by the indigenous people for thousands and thousands of years. There's no words. It's a tremendous honor. And we're so grateful to our Four Visions family for making this happen. Together, we have really seen this vision, and your support and your commitment to this prayer really has been such an incredible honor and really is the fuel behind all the work that we do and why we continue to strive to increase our impact and our reach and really play a key role in this very unique times that we're living in. It's a tremendous blessing to be here with you all today and to inaugurate this next season of the podcast. We're excited to keep growing this podcast. And I shared at the beginning of season 1 that this was a big step for me to share my voice and to, meet an edge that was very real and present for me with public speaking, with sitting down and recording, all of these elements. And so I'm really grateful for this opportunity because it's allowed me to grow in ways that I really have always wanted to be able to grow and expand and really be a voice for this vision and this prayer. Upcoming, we have incredible guests lined up in this upcoming season and really trying to source the conversations that we believe to be crucial to a full spectrum awareness and understanding of what it means to walk this path in a good way. Also touching on themes such as sustainability on a spiritual path and how to navigate the natural ebbs and flows of a trajectory of growth that is not linear, that is very much circular and having its moments of expansion and contraction. And so our goal with this upcoming season is to continue offering you, our beautiful community, conversations that will spark introspection, reflection, and a deeper understanding that you can then apply to the way in which you walk and the way in which you cultivate your relationship with these ancestral plant medicines and the sacred traditions that safeguard and steward these traditions of the ancestors. With that, I really just want to wish you a warm welcome and invite you to accompany us on this upcoming season. We have a lot of beautiful, exciting developments to the podcast. As you probably are aware, we're making a shift to video podcasts. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for tuning in there. And ultimately, a lot of beautiful upgrades. We have some of our first in-person recorded interviews. That was something that I really have been looking forward to doing for a long time, just because of the nature of the intimacy that we can provide when having a conversation in physical presence with the guest. And so we got some of those lined up, as well as just really powerful, special people who have a lot of wisdom to share and really wanting to bring you conversations that fuel and nourish your spiritual path and your spiritual studies, your connection with the creator, your connection with nature and the celestial realm. It is from this place that I extend this invitation from my heart to come and join us on this journey in this upcoming season of the podcasts. And with that, I want to send a lot of love and gratitude to you and your families and wish you many blessings on this upcoming year, in this beautiful season of growth and change, transformation. May the light of the Creator shine down upon you and your family today and always. Thank you so much.
On behalf of the ofFour Visions family, we want to thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you have enjoyed this conversation and have gained seeds of wisdom that will nourish your spiritual path. If you have a moment, please leave us a review, as this helps us to reach more people. For more resources and information about the plant path, and for the highest quality spiritual tools and botanicals, please visit us at ofFourvisions.com. We are grateful for your support and look forward to continuing this journey with you all. Until next time.